pambansang awit and the himno ng pamantasan. Our research director, Dr. Cynthia S. Superable. A round of applause, please.
To our guest speaker, Dr. Mary Ann Daclan, colleagues, students, good morning. Is it a true pleasure for me to welcome you to our webinar workshop on using appropriate statistical tools in quantitative data. I am very grateful to all of you for taking time off from your busy schedule to participate in this webinar. To do successful research, you don't need to know everything. You just need to know of one thing that is not known. A very warm welcome to all of you. Please listen attentively and actively participate in our open forum and workshop. Once again, thank you, good morning, and keep safe, everyone.
Thank you, Doc, for that warm welcome. And now, without further ado, I feel so honored to introduce to you our speaker for today. Our speaker is a graduate of Bachelor of Arts in Sociology in the year 1993 as cum laude under the Mindanao State University full scholarship at Mindanao State University. She got her master's degree of health social science in 1999 under Ford Foundation full scholarship at De La Salle University, Manila. In the year 2009, she graduated Bachelor of Science in Nursing at Mindanao Sanitarium and Hospital College, Iligan City. And in the year 2013, she got her master's degree in nursing, major in nursing administration at Mindanao State University, Marawi City. In the year 2019, our speaker got her PhD degree in sociology under CHED HEDP2 full scholarship at Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan, Cagayan de Oro. At present, our speaker is the Associate Professor 3 at Mindanao State University, main campus. Our speaker is an expert on statistical methods in social science, medical sociology, contemporary social issues, classical and contemporary sociological theories. She is an academic advisor to the department's undergraduate students, a thesis advisor or panel to graduate and undergraduate thesis students, a chairperson of the Mindanao State University Main Research Ethics Committee, and volunteer probation aid extension service department and the college at the Department of Justice, Parole and Probation Administration Office, Iligan Branch since 2010 to date. Our speaker is none other than Dr. Mary Ann F. Daclan. A round of applause, please.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good
Nice
morning, Ma'am
meeting,
Ann.
nice meeting you all virtually. It is an honor to be here with you today, even though in just on screen, to be able to share what I learned and years of application of statistics in social science research. Now, I'm not an expert statistician, okay? I've just experiences in application of statistics, particularly social statistics in social science research, so quantitative researches. So thank you so much for that introduction. Now, since we are in this virtual mode, I must say that this is really a challenge. I've observed a while ago that some of your accounts got out of Zoom and got in again. So it will be a real challenge for our activities, maybe to some of you, because this is interactive. What we're going to do is I have an input. Most of my inputs, by the way, have already been recorded. So because we have already spent about 3 semesters teaching online, so these are the video lectures I've made for my students in MSU, the graduate students in social statistics. Okay, so I'm going to use those video lectures. I just cut off some, so I will start some of those. I will screen share the video lecture, and just I've already specified. Actually, I'm facing right now a time and motion poster, printed poster, so that I know which part of the video lecture will I start playing and where shall I end it. And after that video lecture, there will be an exercise, or what we call the workshop part. So that will be corresponding to the input I've given. So bale, there will be input, then exercise, input again, and then exercise. Don't worry, the Google form is in the Google form. There are just 10 items in those exercises, and I hope very doable for you. So earlier, you have been given a link for your registration, and I think how you answered it successfully or with challenge, that's how it will be in the rest of the day. But I hope there will be improvement in your connection. Anyway, I was also, as I was discussing this with Russell, I was hoping, where is that poll? Let's share the results of the poll to loosen up now. So 79% of you said you feel great, and that there's just very few, 7%, tired, but motivated enough to be here. Bale, you are not given a chance to be nega here. So bisag tired but motivated. So bale, atog yung set ning choices na positive ratanan. Okay, so 21% out of 34 are techie, but there are 21, now 62%, 38% are not techie. That's 13 individuals. So I hope the not techie are beside the techie. So that's what I discussed with Russell. I hope na you can find a way to partner or in the same location ba, or in the same space for the not techie and the techie to be together para na ay support. And you are a part of the young ones and young ones. So more than half are young ones. So they might be the techie ones also. Okay. So for the morning of this webinar, we're going to cover univariate analysis, and the afternoon, the bivariate analysis. Okay, we are not going into the multivariate, just bivariate, because we cannot cover everything. And besides, I like what Dr. Superably said, na don't know, you didn't need to know everything. Just need to know one thing that is not yet known. O, di ba? That's very, very inspiring to us all for into research. So let me on my time and motion. So we are just on time. I'm now going to start with the research statistics tandem, and I'm going to play to share with you the video lecture. It's just good for 14 minutes, and after which I will be putting the link to the exercise. No, wait. It's still a workshop one sa DI. Let me share with you. This workshop one is just to flex your more practice in the Google form. So this is, wait, workshop one. I call it workshop one. But this is very, very easy, I hope. Take this as just practice. I'm putting the link of the so-called workshop one in our chat box. Please click on the form to be able to answer. This is just about quantitative and qualitative answer choices. No, either the item is quantitative or it is qualitative. Of course, in the researches that you have already done, we know that quantitative answers the question how many, and qualitative answers the question why. So please click on the link to answer this particular, it's sort of Google form practice. But I think, I don't know if it's been shared with you the information that those who will obtain biggest scores in our exercises or workshops will have prizes from the research office. And if many of you have high scores, then we're going to base the winners on whoever had submitted first the exercises. Let me see if you already have answer. Okay, there is only still there is just isa pa lang ang naka-answer. Not yet done, rather. So after this particular exercise, please give feedback. How is it is in your at your end? How did you do? Particularly pag-access, kaya ba? Ayos lang ba? We now have 34 responses. We are in attendance here. We are 62. So minus myself, so 61 from MU. But only 36 yet have answered the exercise. I can show you how no need to show the names, but I can show you I can share with you via screen share how it is in the Google form. So there are 38 responses. This is a total of 15 points. For the 15 points we have here, this is what's good with Google Form. I think you are also using this. I'm not sure, but this is what I'm using in my classes. So the average score is 8. So this is even what we are having today, statistics. Average, this is actually mean score of this particular exercise. The median, there is 8. So the range of the scores is from 5 to 10 points. So number of local residents who have undertaken swab tests for COVID-19 in a particular month. Okay. So is it qualitative? Is it quantitative? So anyway, there's feedback later after you are done with the after you submit, you see the feedback for the answers that you may have gotten wrong or that you may have gotten right. Okay, did you do well in this exercise from the 45 who responded already? Yes, more than 50%. 50-50 na. Okay, yes and no. I just give it to you, this particular exercise, even without having started yet. So no input anymore. I just assume that it's, stored knowledge, the quantitative and qualitative concepts in research. So to remember it easily, just recall that quantitative answers the question how many, and qualitative answers the question why. Why? So there are topics which are really sensitive, and you don't need to study it quantitatively, like drug addiction, prostitution, abuse. You can study those qualitatively, but of course, there are events in our society that we need to have grounded data. We need to have evidence-based data to support a policy. So we need to study that involving a lot of people, because it is in number that usually policies will be based. If you notice, there are instances in which a certain health concern is not regarded as important to some extent because it just affected very few people. So if it's very few, it's not yet that important, something like that, because in percentage, it will just be 0.5% of the population. So in policy making, number is the game. And so that's why we are doing quantitative type of research, so that somehow there will be evidence-based data for recommendation, for policy making, basis for program, whatever. So we are now 52. Anyway, let me stop sharing this. Should you want to speak, you have here below, can you see the, or you can click on your name, I think, and you, wala ba diri? Below the participants, you'll say the raise hand, or naasa kanang reactions. The reactions below your screen, there is a raise hand. Okay lang ba ang ano, Google Form practice? Okay siguro, no? Kay 52, 53, so ongoing ang pag-answer. Okay. So more importantly, this particular exercise is for the Google Form practice. And we already know that some of you got 5 points because the screen that I've shared with you showed that the range of scores are from 5 to 10 points. Okay, and then the median of the scores is 8, and the average is 8 as well. Okay, so there are 54 who have answered. Now let me proceed with the first input on research statistics tandem. And in this particular video lecture that is just for 14 minutes, there will be 2 exercises, but just 10 items each. The exercises will be about exercise on discrete and continuous, and the other exercise is on the levels of measurements. Okay, so let me now share with you the video lecture that will be the basis for the 2 exercises later. Please give me feedback right away if you can't hear or whatever, if there is a cacophonous sound from the video. Okay. So I'm going to start playing this at 0.25 seconds. So let me advance to 0.25 seconds. You don't need to see the preliminaries of that video.
Scores. What is statistics? A tool to describe our research finding is a science of collecting, classifying, presenting, and interpreting numerical data. There are three statistical methodologies: descriptive, correlational, and inferential. Descriptive from the word describe. It collects, presents, describes numerical data. That simple. Correlational statistical methodology examines possible relationship between variables through correlation coefficient. So while descriptive simply stops at describing, this particular research methodology already examines possible relationship between, for example, one variable with another variable, a relationship with x and y. Inferential statistical methodology is useful in making predictions of future behavior by using regression analysis. Hopefully, we are going to reach this part. To study statistics, we need to be able to speak its language. So these are the basic concepts we need to know: population, sample, parameter, statistic. You notice the first concept is statistic. There is no S. With S, statistics is our subject. This one is another concept. Population is a universe, the complete collection of individuals, objects, or measurements that have a characteristic in common. This must be carefully defined to determine the membership. And what does that mean? In this example, the total number of persons admitted in all 5 isolation facilities in Scott City from October 1 to 15, 2020. You notice the whole statement, it's complete with the necessary information for a population. What is that universe? It is composed of those persons from 5 isolation facilities. There is location, Stat City, and particularly from all of the 5 isolation facilities. And in this particular dates only, October 1 to 15. So before and after those dates, they are not included. So that is that universe. That is the population. Now, since it's expensive, it's difficult to study the whole population, so we need to have a sample. Sample is a subset or a representative of a population. So based on the population example we just mentioned a while ago, so this is just arbitrary because we really don't know the total number of the population. So let's just say 20%, although it may not be actually 20%. It can be less or more. So for example, the 20% of all who were admitted in each of the 5 isolation facilities in Stock City from October 1 to 15, 2020. Okay. Now the population is something like this, looks like this. And from that population, we took a fraction of that, a part of that, and that is what we call sample. Now, parameter is that characteristic of a population, whereas statistic is the term that describes the characteristic of a sample. So, in short, population is represented by a sample, whereas parameter is approximated by a statistic. Now let's continue with the basic concept variable. A variable, I've already mentioned in the previous module that it's something that varies from one person to another. So a characteristic about each individual element of a population or sample, like age, that's a variable. It varies from one person to another. And there is that concept piece of data, which pertains to the value of the response variable associated with each source element. So for example, for the variable age, the piece of data can be 83 years old. For the variable religious affiliation, the piece of data may be Islam or non-Islam. Okay. So there are two kinds of data. It depends on the research method you use. If you are dealing with qualitative research method, then you obtain qualitative data, and that is attribute. Okay. Um, if you use the quantitative research method, you obtain quantitative data, which can either be discrete or continuous. Now, an attribute is just something that can be sorted into classification. It's just a mere description. Like, for example, colors of the cars in the car park, whereas quantitative data that is discrete are characteristics that are separate or discontinuous. Like, for example, months in a year. So we are already given the months in a year. We already know what are those months in the year. And there are 12 months in a year. And we know each month's name uh, given is different from one another, one month to another. So discontinuous, the characteristics shed off into the next, like age. Age, as I am talking to you right now, age, my age, your age, is advancing, like advancing by the second. So that tomorrow, somebody may turn a year older, okay? We are a day, each one of us is a day older. So that is what is meant by continuous. Well, it's something that continues, that goes on by the second. It does not stay as is. Like months in a year, it will not continue. There are just clearly 12 months in a year. Okay? So we now go to levels of measurement. There are 4 levels of measurement. And these are arranged according, these are levels, okay? So they are not of the same plane. Of course, they are not of the same level because these are in different levels according to this arrangement. The lowest of which is the nominal, then ordinal, going up, interval, and going up, ratio. So I've arranged it in such a way that if you can actually have its um, short, shortened term so that NOIR, nowhere, NOIR, for easy recall of these levels. So what's the leveling? What's the importance of this leveling arrangement? Okay, since this is the lowest, the nominal, its characteristics, it's just exclusive in itself. Okay, whereas the ordinal has also the characteristics of a nominal. Going up, interval has its own characteristics, but it also has the characteristics of ordinal and of nominal. Now, ratio has the characteristics of all interval, ordinal, and nominal. And it has also its own characteristics. So it is the most flexible of all levels. So the upper two, ratio and interval, we can say these are continuous variables. You can quantify them. You can quantify the values associated with ratio and interval. Whereas ordinal and nominal are categorical variables, or these are qualitative variables. These are usually just attributes or descriptions. What's so important in knowing on identifying if the variable is either NOIR? It is for you to make decisions about the type of statistical analysis that should be performed. You can just assign a statistical tool to all of this. Okay, it depends on what level of measurement it the variable has, and then you can have the corresponding appropriate statistical tool to use. Okay, as arranged according to this, just like according to this form, just like a stairwell. So nominal, labeled as same or not, like male or female. That's its own characteristics. Ordinal has the characteristics that is rank. So aside from labeled, the characteristic of being nominal, it can be rank, like second floor. Okay. There is first floor, there is third floor. Interval has the characteristics of nominal, label, ranked, ordinal, and it has its own characteristics that is range. For example, fever of 39 to 41 degrees centigrade. So that is range. What you see 39 to 41, it's a range which the in between, which is 40, is existent. So there is meaning, importance to the in between. If you are going to say also a score of 1 to 10, so 1 to 10 are mentioned, but there are still other numbers in between 1 to 10, and these are existent and important as well. So 2 to 9 are there. Now, what about the ratio? Ratio has the characteristic of being nominal, labeled, ranked, ordinal, interval, range, and zero. What does that mean? It has a true zero value, like the 24-month-old baby. So that is an age. 20 age starts with zero. Before 1 year old, an infant is considered at zero age. Okay. So in totality, this will be how it will look like. Nominal data, ordinal data, interval ratio data. These are quantitative, these are qualitative, and the descriptions that I've already mentioned. Okay, if it has a true zero value, then that must be a ratio data. Like weight, it starts with zero. There is that weighing scale that starts with zero. Height, or any length for that matter, starts with zero. The tape measure starts at zero. Okay, whereas the interval data, if there is no zero point with in that particular piece of data or variable, then that is automatically an interval data. Like fever, di ba? In our previous example, fever, there is no body temperature that is zero, patay na. Okay, and so is the uh, temperature of the environment. There is no zero, but there is negative. In Canada, for example, -4, that is so cold, but there is no zero, patay gyapon. Okay, so that's it.
I'm muted. Okay, so we are done with the first input And as I've mentioned a while ago, you're going to have a two exercises for that. One is for the discrete. You are going to identify which if either the item is a continuous or a discrete variable. So, nakuan man to sa input, no? Continuous, it will continue. It will change. It will advance. Whereas ang discrete will discontinue. That's the basic thing that you are going to remember for that. The other exercise will be about your telling if the particular variable is nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio. These levels of measurement is very important because later, when we will discuss about the assumptions of research, actually, knowing the levels of measurements is for you to be able to meet the assumptions of research, because you'll be able to really appropriately choose the statistical tool for a particular research based on the variables that you are including in your research. So let me now give you the links to the exercise on discrete or continuous. Okay, discrete or continuous. Okay. So there are just 10 items, 1 point each item, so a total of 10 points. And then the link for the third workshop on the levels of measurement. So for the levels of measurement, so this way, the Office of Research will really be able to see if you have participated in each of the exercise. So this is the webinar that really requires your focus and attention. But I endeavored really to simplify the exercises. I think it's just very simple to most of to those who are really into research, to those who are actively engaged in research. That's a piece of cake for you. But I was told that there are those who have really no or less, or meager background in research. So we have to do this method. So at the moment, 8 already have answered the second exercise. Again, with 5 as the lowest in there is a range of scores. So from 5 to 8. So 8, duha lang ang mali. If this is in statistics class, so pasar tanan kay lowest score is 5 and 50% man ang passing for statistics class, my class. So 5 over 10, so 3 na ng 5. In MSU, ang mathematics subjects passing percentage score is 45%. Of course, nursing, because diba, it was mentioned na nag-nursing ko, no? Since it's a board course, and I think many of you here are into board courses, education, no, kanang nursing, business courses with board exams. Sa nursing, in my nursing classes before, 80% passing. So 10 items, dapat maka-8 para pasar. Below 8, wala na. No, that's how it was. Pero sa math, 45% pasar na. Sa nursing, 80% ay mo pasar. And I think sa accountancy, 80% pud sila. Ana. So we now have 35 for who finished the second exercise and 4 who finished the third exercise. Sa levels of measurements, na 3 nga score. Una na gyud to. O sige lang. I hope that bahalag to ang imong score when you read the murag rasyonale na siya kung sa nursing pa, rasyonale of why the answer is correct and why the answer is wrong. So there is a rationale after you have submitted or you are done with the exercise. So you'll be able to know how come your answer is not correct for that particular item. There is rationalization. So what's important actually in exercises in courses like this, because this is actually what's important here is the practice. So therefore, the exercises, what's important is the learning after you commit the mistake. But good for those who have 10 points for levels of measurement, 9 naka 10. Very good. So good for you. Pila man ni kabuk naka 10. And what's good with Google Form is we can have a Google, you can have a Microsoft Excel to show the summary of responses, and it's easy for visualization purposes. Pila man ni naka 10? Isa ka book ang naka 10. So for those who have already finished the 2 exercises, you may have sing na kay snack dira, you can eat. Na siguro mo snack min ha kanang mga nasa office. If you're hungry, it's okay for you to eat, or you can go to the bathroom if you like, if you need to. "49 have answered exercise number 2. Actually, nanagod na ka score og 1 sa kuan sa levels of measurement. Sige lang kay maybe it's your first time to have met these concepts. Kaning levels of yes, you can eat your snacks and go to the bathroom as you please kay unsa mo man ni hayahay diri sa kuan sa virtual. You can eat, I allow my students to eat actually. Pagkaon lang mo dira. So I tell them. So gyud naka-score og 1 no, pero hinautulay ma 0. So kaning levels of measurements. This is really tricky part, and this is what you need. One of the assumptions gyud ni siyang levels to levels of measurements. One of the assumptions in all of the statistical tools that reach bivariate, multivariate level. Sumuro na akong wish, wala unta po ma 0. No? Kinaan naman naka-score og 1. So yun ana nakataas ang range 1 to 10. Crucial po ni sa giving of grades, di ba? Since you are also teachers and you give grades. When there is someone in the class who is very good, and then maka-perfect siya, 10. So listed for those who will have low score, like 1 Raymond score, because there is 10, gamay gud imong grado. But if one imong score pero man gyud ang highest kay 5 raman pod, di ba? So there may be consideration. Ana. Ug diri larayo imong grado. So kana siya if there is that good and it will affect your grade as well. Okay, so there are 52 of you who have answered the exercise number 2 and 37 for exercise number 3. So for your questions later at 11:30, we are going to have the open forum. So you may, so that you can't forget, if you have a question now, you can write it and then ask later in the open forum. Because after this, we're going to proceed to the next input, which is a video lecture for 11 minutes. There is no corresponding, that's the good news. There is no corresponding exercise for that. It's just an input of good for 11 minutes about data preparation. I'm not sure if my talking here disturbs you. Russell, can you give me feedback if during the exercise I have to be silent lang? Or okay ra? Actually, dili siguro siya okay sa...
Ma'am Ann, wala ko
Okay ra ba nga while nag-exercise sila, nag-story-storya pa ko dire?
Yes, okay ra. No problem, ma'am. Mas mayo na lang kay para dili mingaw.
Okay, basin bitaw. Ang auditory learners na may ganahan aning naay saba-saba sa palibot while learning. While
Okay ra daw.
studying. Oh.
Snacks pa man po ang uban.
Problema basig matulog man good, no?
Wala mo eh. We're all alert here.
Alert di ay. Abangan unya. Hapon.
Agoy. Nag-goal sa scores ma'am kay nakakuha og 5/10.
Sige lang naaga ni 1 o. I hope na kanang 1 kung i-repeat na siya okay na ang score.
Lagi ma'am.
So for exercise number 2, wow, 53. 53 have answered. For exercise number 3, 40 have answered. So bahala na ng 1 din ha nga score. Importante, you have realizations afterward why you have answered it correctly, nga isara. Then ang uban, ano man nasayop. So isa ra gyud ang nai-corona, isa ra gyud ang naka-10. Wow, congratulations to you. Blind item. Na ay naka-10 sa levels of measurement. Oh, naman po yung naka-10 sa discrete or continuous. Isa ra pod. Oh. Okay, naana to sila malista na mo unya sa possible possible awardees. Pero total ning mga scores kung kinsa gyud kuan. Ani nakagwapo sa Excel kay pwede man ipa-arrange. The responses in Excel, no, in the Google form, we can create an Excel out of those responses, and then it's arranged according to timestamp. So whoever has submitted first will be at the topmost, submitted last will be at the bottommost, and on the sheets of the Google of the Microsoft Excel. But we can let, di ba? We can let the Microsoft Excel arrange everything according to the highest scores. So, mupataas na din ang mga ngalan sa naka 10. You must be proud of yourself nga naka 10 jud ka. Unya, ikaw ra walay walay kuan. Walay kalaban sa 10. Because I was thinking, okay, kung daghan gid ang maka 10, o di makadaghan ang maka-perfect, mo na akong thinking, kung daghan maka-perfect, whoever is the first amongst those who got perfect will have the award, or kato na lang. So far, isa pa kay naka-10 dere sa kuan. Each of the exercise, isa pa naka-10. For the second exercise, for exercise number 2 na to, katong qualitative or quantitative, katong practice bale, 58 of you have answered, and daghan po naka-10 di ay dire, 1, 2, 3, pila man ni, ay 15 man di ay ni ka-items, 15 di ay to, sabi na kong tag 10 ra, so walay naka-15, wala, daghan ang naka-10. So, kaning sa discrete or continuous, 1 got 10. And for the third, 1 got 10. Actually, kani siya, nga mga, pwede na ni siya data set. Pwede na ni siya data set, and pwede na siya nga i-process in bivariate analysis, no? Like, young ones man to, no? Kanang age, naman mo katong sa atong exercise, atong workshop, itong data set, itong all about you data set. So, pwede to siya, like, emerge na rin ang Excel, na katong basic. Of course, atong i-remove, we can remove the names. Ayaw mo siyang anonymous dayon ang names. Nameless na, no? Nameless na, and then pwede siya i-process na. Ang score ba, is there a relationship, a significant relationship between age of the takers and of the score? Kana something like that. Naaba na nga relationship. Significant relationship. Unya, pwede din kuan pod, whether there is a significant difference between the scores of the male and of the female. Pwede ngun ana, no? Pwede na ni siya nga data set. Ana. Dayon, pwede pod, daghan man tong colleges, no? But, yes, pwede analysis of variance o kanang ANOVA. Pwede mag-ANOVA to analyze the variance. Kaya na, given naman, diretso, di ba, sa Google form, when you, the summary of responses, the Google form gave us, nakakita na ta ganina nga naay average. And in variance, in the computation of variance, it is the mean that is used. So, nanay average daan, makita na yun. Dayon. So, kinsa nga college, for example, ang dagkog kuha, pwedeng mag-analyze sa kanang kuan, contingency table, something like that. So if you have data, you can play with the data, minana. You can use the data for kuan, something like gusto lang ka makahibalo, you just want to know some possibilities, that's mga informal hypothesis in your mind na siguro kani nga college, because daghan sila mathematics subject in their curriculum, siguro maayo sila ani, or kani nga college kay abunda sila research, basi maayo sila ani, something like that. Then see if your hypothesis is kuan true or not based on the data processing. Pwede ni siya na mga results i-process. Pwede na mag-kuan o paper out of this. Okay, let us see. Magpadayon na siguro tano. We can continue, even you can basta lang your account is not out, or better yet, kana bitong inyong ani na lang ang tip na kuno that I give you, because if your account will go out of Zoom, when you come back, all the chat messages you cannot see anymore. Inana na siya. So I suggest that sana all nag-snacks. Sige lang, go. Kuan naman pud ko kanang lunch namang kumukaon jud actually. O di ba? Pang-ekonomiya maning ako. Okay. I suggest that when you kanang mga links bitaw akong gihatag dinha sa chat box, ikopya na lang ninyo sa kung naka-laptop mo or kanang naka-laptop gyud ang mas very advantageous. So you copy that in somewhere in your laptop sa Microsoft Word baron, na diha ang link so that you can always go back to it, no? Ana na lang kay kuan man kanang kato. There are some of you who got out and got back in Google, in Zoom. So mo disappear man pod, pag out nimo mo disappear pod tong mga chat messages. But of course, those who stayed, okay kaayo stable ang connection, naara ka dinha, naara tanan ang ang mga links. So anyway, panilingan na lang kanang imong kauban din ha sa room, if ever you have. Kung naka sa office, pwede nimo pangayoon tong links kay ana. So let me now proceed para continue lang tong uban ha, because we don't have the same pacing. Mag-proceed ta sa data preparation. I put here 10-minute break, pero pwede na tadi mag 10-minute break kay murag na human na gani og snacks, di ba? So data preparation lang ta, 11 minutes video lecture. And I'm going to start this based on my notes at the whole of it day. Okay. Kaya nga naman. End at 10. Okay. The whole of it.
So in this module, the learning points would be making a coding manual, making a coding sheet, turning raw data into a class limit, computing for class limit frequency, and for percentage, and writing the data presentation. Now, for the first 2, 4, 5 purposes, we are going to use Microsoft Excel. The last one, we are going to use Microsoft Word. Now, in Microsoft Excel, you are going to determine a specific column and row of data start and end, which you already have done in the previous module. Then you are going to determine the minimum value as well as the maximum value. You also have done that in the previous module. So you're going to put on the particular cell equals, you encode this, and the start of the data and the end of the data in a particular column which has the data for a particular variable, and then the maximum in this manner. Now, to come up with class limit, always put this symbol before the number in range. Example, so let us assume this is for age. Now, to compute for frequency, you are going to type this. Just follow this. Just type this on this particular cell where you want the result to be. You have all the answers applied in all of the cells involved. You are going to do this. Control plus Shift plus Enter key. But if you're going to do Control plus Shift plus Enter key, you are going to have frequency for all of these class limits. This is now the Microsoft Excel file that contains the planned survey of a student in the previous semester. Now we are going to have both coding manual and coding sheet. You are going to make your own coding manual and how you are going to have codes for each. For the word variable, let us have letter V now as a code for variable. So since you have many variables, you're going to have like v sub 1, v sub 1 dot 1, v sub 2. Okay, like you are going to have for the variable age, you are going to have two codes for the actual age and the coded age. And why is that? For the purpose of my classes, I have got both so that you can obtain easily the mean for the actual age. So all of the age will just be there as is. The coded age, it's here that you're going to have codes like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now 1 is for all those below 20 years old. And the code number 2, that is 20 to 39 years old, and so on. V2 is for sex, coded sex, male for 1, male 1, female 2. V3 is for actual income in a month. So again, there is actual income here because this is a numeric variable. So you need a column that retains the actual value for easy computation of the mean, the actual income mean. So V3.1 is coded income for easy computation. So that's the coding manual. Let's go to the coding sheet. Now the coding sheet, so as you can see, the student has already done a computation using Excel for the age and income mean and so on. But anyway, our concern is for this coding sheet is how is it plotted now? Actually, you have done this already. You have coding sheet. It's just a matter of adding the labels. So you have the first column as labeled R. That is for respondent. And these are the actual values. You have this already in your Excel file. These are the values. Okay. So you just add all those labels. Now, let us have this. Data begin
Oh, the beginning is 9. It's the row 9. So when you are going to look at this row 1 here, the A1, this is column A, and this is 9. A9. A9 here has respondent 1 number. And then all of those in the row 9 contain the information of respondent number 1. Respondent number 1's age and etc. and so on. Okay. Silat na sa the end is 64. It's here, row 64. You now have determined the lowest. The lowest, you can actually type this or just what's this lowest max? This is supposed to be highest. Okay, wait. The lowest, this is highest. Highest. And this is lowest. Value. For column A, that is actually age there. So the highest age would be 80. The lowest age would be 8. So you now proceed to make the class limit. Now in Excel, it does not recognize this dash dash thing. So you're going to have the upper limit of the particular class limit. So like for age, we're going to say below 10 years old. So the highest of that would be 9. So you put 9 here. The next category would be 10 to 19 years old. So put 19 here, the upper class limit, and 29. Okay, so we are having here this column for with the class limit and 0. So this is now what I told you about a while ago. You remember to put this sign, symbol, and so on. But you are not going to use this in the Excel computation. It's just there for your purposes of knowing the class limit made. But these are those that you are going to use in the computation, actual computation. Now you label this as frequency, then of course these are now the actual frequency. So how to, let's say we're going to delete this for our purposes. So we're going to demo the computation. Okay, so since we want to compute all of the frequencies of this class limits, so you better have this highlighted and then equals frequency. It's here now, frequency. Okay, you see, it's first they are going to have the data array and then the bins array. Now the data array, we know that the age is in B equals frequency B9 to B64, comma. So you now have A here. That was a mistake. A70 to A73. It's intentional to leave this space blank, although it's included, okay? So Control Shift Enter. Okay, so that's the frequency now for this class limit. So we now have 1 for 0 to 9, there's just 1, and 2 for those of 10 to 19 years old, and 5 for those of 20 to 29 years old, and 48 for those in 30 to 39 years old. Okay, so percentage, what we do here, okay, this is now the total. The total is, you can obtain it, just type equals sum and then C70. We are totaling the frequencies actually, so 56, because all in all there are 56 cases, right? So there are 56 cases. Okay, so as to the percentage, since my percentage here is non-functional as well, so let us just have the manual, something like manual thing. So you just have sum
use sum, that's generic. So I'm going to input here the formula for percentage of sum. I'm going to compute the for this percentage C70 divide by the total C74 close parenthesis and then multiply by 100, and that would be enter. It's 1.8% actually. You just repeat the process, but it will be different number now. C71 over C74 times 100. This is now the Microsoft Word. Let us just say that the two families have names Carbonara and Deliciosa. Okay, Carbonara Deliciosa families a plan survey. And this, I just change it. Okay, so as not to expose the real owner. We put the date here, 2021 now, introduction. So just have your own introduction. Make that in paragraphs. You can have it 1 page or 2 pages, and have the methodology, how you're making.
Okay, so we ended that particular video lecture, for which the input is on the making of the coding sheet, the coding manual. Those are needed in your data preparation for your data analysis. For a long time, I'm really using a statistical package for the social sciences. Before I learned Microsoft Excel, I've been using SPSS. I'm not sure if you have SPSS. Any one of you have been using SPSS. Maybe your statistics department, if you have used that, or for those of you who are into research, maybe have used that. I've used it for a very long time. When I was yet a college student, that was year 1990s, early 90s, I've used already SPSS, this operating system version pa, no? So programming style nga, kung makulang og kama, dili mo sugot. Kana it's very, very meticulous. Kaya programming lagi ang style niya. So until such time that there was already a version of SPSS that is Windows based. So sa Windows based, very easy to use. Just click because there's a pull down menu. I-click lang naman to siya. Okay, very easy to use. Anything you can compute. Ug mo compute pod ang SPSS, bisan unsa imong i-feed mo compute siya. But does that make any sense? So it should be the task and responsibility of the researcher to know what you feed into the computer and to know what results it will give you. Can you interpret it? That's what's more important. No, because as I've said, mo compute ra man na siya, butang nimo tanang data, it will compute in just a blink of an eye. It will compute everything. So why am I using Microsoft Excel here? Because everybody can access Microsoft Excel. Ako yun ning so I've studied how to use Microsoft Excel for the sake of my students who don't have access to spaces, because it is costly, no? Kaya dili pwede magamit og walay license. Na may mga cracked versions, but of course it's very limited lang po, di ba? Ang time frame. In ana, but sa MSU, we just bring our laptop to the statistics department, ilang i-install og SPSS. Ingon ana man ito. Mo nang nako SPSS, but I'm not using SPSS in my classes. because it's useless. They cannot use SPSS while they are at home, no? Learning from home. Ana. So, morning naka-Excel. And then, kuti kaayo ang Excel, daghan kaayo ang, basta sayon kayo ang SPSS in short. Daghay kuti. Kaya kato diba, type nimo ang mga commands. Kung sa SPSS to, i-click-click, dali ra kaayo, i-click-click lang siya. Ingon ana. Anyway, adjusting from o kanang ako mga video lectures bitaw nga gi-share sa inyo. I've read the chat box, no. Naana tanan sa kuan YouTube actually. Go sana akong gipang storya, but anyway, gi-record man ako ni share upod na ko ni sa inyo. Ana. So,